You said something you cannot take back. Maybe it was this morning. Maybe it was last week. You were fine, and then something small happened. Something embarrassingly small. And you watched yourself respond in a way that did not match who you think you are. The worst part was not the anger. It was watching it happen, feeling like a passenger in your own body. Knowing even as the words came out that you would regret them and not being able to stop. A Roman philosopher who struggled with the same thing wrote the most psychologically precise account of anger ever put on paper. 2,000 years before neuroscience had words for what he was describing. What he found reframes every moment of anger you have ever had. Lucius Annaeus Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. Advisor to Emperor Nero, playwright, philosopher, a man with every external reason to be calm. He wrote 3 volumes on anger, a man who had watched what it did to everyone around him and recognized the same thing in himself. He gave it a name that most people resist when they first hear it. A brief madness. He meant it clinically. In the moments of genuine anger, the mind operates exactly as it does in madness, cut off from reasoning, fixed on its target, incapable of receiving new information. The version of you that would make better decisions has been temporarily replaced by something that cannot. That is why you feel like a passenger, because in a real sense, you are. He described what it looks like from the outside with uncomfortable precision. Eyes blazing, voice erupting in sudden shouts, hands restless with nowhere to put the energy. And then he said the thing that lands hardest. This is what you look like to the people watching you in those moments. But that is only the surface of what Seneca found. The deeper observation, the one that changes how you understand every episode of anger you have ever had, is this. Anger is not strength. It is fear wearing a mask. He noticed something about angry people that is almost impossible to unsee. Loud threats, aggressive displays, the performance of dominance. Underneath all of it, the mind is in panic. The anger is the mask. Underneath, it is always something that felt threatened, something that felt small. This is why you lose it over something minor. The minor thing was not the point. It just found the wound that was already there. The size of your reaction never reveals the size of what happened. It reveals the size of what you were carrying. So what do you actually do with this in the moment when you feel it coming? Seneca was clear on one thing. Fighting anger head-on after it has taken hold does not work. The mind has already been replaced. Reason is offline. The only window that matters is the 30 seconds before it takes complete hold. He called delay the single greatest cure. Genuine delay. 1 minute where you do not act. The first words, the first message, the first decision. That window is where almost all the destruction happens. Let it close before you do anything. He described a technique that sounds almost modern in how precisely it works. Some people in his time looked in a mirror during moments of anger to see how it had turned the fairest faces foul, to see themselves as others were seeing them in that moment. Imagine catching your own reflection mid-argument. The face you see is not the face you think you are wearing. The eyes are different. The jaw is set in a way you do not recognize. Something is looking back at you that you would not want the people you love to see. That shock is enough to break the momentum, enough to create the gap where your actual mind can re-enter the situation. You do not need a literal mirror. What does this look like to the person watching? What will I think of this in an hour? That question works the same way. And when neither the delay nor the question is working, change the physical first. Relax the jaw, slow the voice, soften the expression. Seneca observed that the inner state eventually follows the outward appearance of calm. The body leads when the mind cannot. This is not performance. It is using the architecture of your own nervous system against the anger that is trying to take it over. After it passes, not while you are still in it, but after. One honest question. What was I actually afraid of in that moment? Go past the anger itself and find what felt threatened underneath it. That question will tell you more about yourself than any apology you make to the other person, and it is the only thing that makes the next episode less likely rather than just less visible. Something worth knowing about the man who wrote all of this. Seneca spent years as advisor to Nero, one of the most volatile, dangerous, and unpredictable men in Roman history. A man whose anger was total and whose consequences were lethal. Seneca had to navigate it from inside the court. Close enough to be useful, careful enough to survive. Eventually, Nero ordered him to die anyway. Seneca was told to take his own life. He did so with reported calm, dictating letters to friends while it was happening, composed to the end. The man who wrote the most precise account of anger ever put on paper spent his final years living inside the most dangerous anger imaginable. And he never became it, because he had spent decades practicing the gap between what happens and what you do about it. That was all it was. That gap is available to you today in the next conversation where you feel it coming. Punishment postponed can still be exacted, but punishment exacted cannot be undone. He wrote that for himself, but it is for you too. What is the smallest thing that sets you off more than it should? The thing that when you say it out loud sounds almost embarrassing, but in the moment gets you every time. Drop it in the comments, because naming it is the first step to understanding what it is actually pointing at. If this landed, subscribe. Next week, we are going deeper into Seneca, the one resource he said most people squander without ever noticing. Once you see what he meant, you will never think about your days the same way again. See you there.